Greetings, fellow Empyreans. I am Ashtarothi, the voice of New Eden, and it is April 22nd, YC127, and this is the Eve Universe Show. How's it going, guys? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Lost your HFI trying to get into Solitude. The secret to that is if you ever need to get somewhere like Solitude, or really anywhere, like you need to get to somewhere, the best thing to do is just take a really small, like a scanning frigate or something like that, go to that area and scan down all the wormholes there and try to find a connection that goes somewhere that's useful to you. And then you can, bring it in via wormhole. That's often a better way to do it than trying to sneak it in the direct way, but just a little tip. Okay, so today, very, very important day, guys. I was kind of tired. Yesterday, I was totally discombobulated, but there is something I really, really want to show you guys because I've seen a lot of grumbling online about how hard it is to do the event sites and people complaining about the fact that the praxis is no longer on the login rewards and yada, yada, yada. And like, on the one hand, like, first of all, some of this is just normal, right? Like every event, there's going to be people complaining about how many sites there are. There is one thing I do want to call out before I go any further with anything here. So there's this post that's here that's complaining about how rare the sites are and all this sorts of stuff. A lot of the information on this is not necessarily accurate. However, I don't know why this keeps popping up, but people keep thinking that event sites and really anything in EVE is done with last hit, which is not true. The sites are done with top damage, single character top damage on the rat. That is what that determines loot ownership in EVE Online. I do not know why every single event involves talking about last hit. Last hit is not a thing in EVE Online. I don't know why everybody keeps talking about it. It's been this way for years. But that isn't the only thing that people are getting wrong about this event. Before we get into that, though, I do want to point out that today, actually tomorrow, is the last day for you to log in. If you haven't started doing your login rewards, tomorrow is the last day that you can start the login rewards and still get the maximum 650,000 skill points and stuff that you get. Okay? So make sure to be doing your login rewards. If you've already started, then great. There's good stuff even after the final reward for you to get. So it's good to do it every day. But let's go ahead and jump into the strategy. Okay. First and foremost, we are in JITA. I've got one of my alts. This alt. Hold on one second. Let me turn back on AMD just to make it a little bit more performant. Maybe. Or it'll kill everything. One of the two. Everything still working? All right. Well, there we go. Okay, so probably shouldn't have done it while undocked in JITA because there's a lot of things to process, but whatever. Here we are. Oh my God, my computer. Hold on. Hey, sheesh. 07 to you. Thank you for that. Let us go ahead and dock really quick, and then we will continue. Then we'll get started, because I think being undocked at JITA is making my computer having to work a little bit harder than it wants to. Let me see real quick. I don't know why it's being all weird. Okay. So, let's start from the beginning. For those of you who do not know, right now is Capsuleer Day. Capsuleer Day is an annual event that is tied to EVE Online's birthday, okay? However, in recent years in particular, CCP has focused on having Capsuleer Day be surrounded around some sort of whatever event is going on during that time. So right now we're doing the Drifter Crisis. So the Capsuleer Day event is tied to the Drifter Crisis, okay? Now, there is an event track, and there's a login reward, just like normal. Normally, the login reward includes the Praxis, the Gnosis, the Synesis, and the Apotheosis for every single Omega character just by doing the login event. That is not the way that this year is done, right? This year, the Apotheosis, Metamorphosis, Synesis, Gnosis, and Praxis are on this track here, on the event track. So people aren't going to be getting them for free. Which means, by the way, normally this price, we go look at the Praxis. How does this work now? Market details. If we look at the Praxis, we can see that the Praxis is currently going for 216 million. But if we look at the price history, we can see this is what the actual price history graph looks like. And this is pretty normal. Like, this is the last year, but this is pretty much what every year is supposed to look like, okay? So so we can see here, this is the previous Easter event, or sorry, not Easter event, but Capsuleer Day event. So you see that the price builds up, and then crashes, right? When everybody gets there. So throughout the year, the Praxis slowly builds up, and then it crashes down. However, because of this decision to not have the Praxis just be a login reward, that has caused the Praxis to not crash as hard, because people speculate that there's going to be less Praxis. However, there's something noteworthy here, which is that this track, unlike this track is available to alpha clones. So if we can get 1,000 points on this track as an alpha clone, I can get a Praxis, when normally in previous events, the Praxis was unobtainable by alpha clones by the login rewards. You'd have to buy it off the market, right? So this is the very first time that free-to-play accounts have had the chance to get the Praxis. But in addition to that, there's other pieces to this too. The one, obviously the Praxis has its own value, 200 million. The Gnosis has some value. All of these ships have value. However, there's also 100 PLEX, okay? So if we can get these points, we can get 100 PLEX, which is roughly 600 to 700 million ISK right now, and a Praxis. So all told, we can get almost 1 billion ISK from the event rewards if we can get 1,500 points, or 1,050 points, okay? So let's figure out how we're going to get 1,050 points. There are multiple ways of doing this. You can do the combat sites, so the Sleeper Forge and the Sleeper Foundry sites, right? We talked about that. We've done the sites in a Hurricane Fleet issue, which is completely alpha friendly, and you can run those and be 100% successful. Now, the issue with that is that you're going to run into problems with competition, especially in HiSec. You can go to HiSec Islands, you can go to Mimitar Space, you can do Amar Space. We've talked many, many times about how to find sites that are less contested. What's up, Roughnecks? If that's the option that you want to do. And it's a good option if you want to go that way. You get, I think it's a grand total of about, 50 points per site completed, if I remember correctly. Because it's, maybe it's 40, because I think it's 10, 10, 20, if I remember correctly. So then you can do, or you could do hacking sites, right? The hacking sites can be found in HiSec and LowSec, and those are also worth like 10, 20 points. It's a little bit slower, and you have to find them, which is a little bit more challenging, but they're going to be a little bit less competitive. And if you do it in LowSec, you can find some good sites. But if you're an explorer, you could do it that way. And as an alpha player, you could totally do that. You're going to be a little bit limited by having slightly less hacking abilities, slightly less probing abilities, and inability to cloak. But if you want to get the job done, you totally could. You can enter a Reckoning Vigilance Point site in Poshfin or Wormhole Space. This is not a thing. Oh, it's find first can, 2 more cans. So 30 points per site. So that's pretty good. You're not going to do the Pochfin or Wormhole site as an alpha by yourself. This is a group content. Observatory Infiltration is a different scanning site. So as you're finding these sleeper reserves, you can also find observatory infiltrations. If you find those, then they're worth points too. However, be warned. Yesterday, somebody was like, oh, is this site safe? And I was like, yeah, it should be. And I forgot. If somebody already has that site tripped, then it's very, very dangerous to warp into. The Labyrinth Complex is a group content, so you're probably not going to be able to get in on that, especially given the fact that a lot of the group content is being done with non-alpha clone-friendly ships. But you might be able to jump in with somebody. I'd recommend jumping in with one of the groups that are operating within the 5 Drifter Hives. If you come and hit me up, I'll get you information for joining the Triglavian Collective. Hey, what's up, Lord? Vesnan. Okay, so you can also enter the Reckoning Nexus point. This is even harder than the Labyrinth Complex. You're only going to do that with other people. You can mine 7,000 Tyranite. Now, this is part of a series, which is one of the better ways for people to kind of low-key get points. You have to mine, you manufacture a filament, you manufacture an emission, and then you sell it. And then it recycles. But then after that, when it recycles, it's 2 of any given thing. So in this case, I recommend that the emissions are way faster to do. In fact, we have contracts up for available to people to be able to get those blueprints. So if you want to do the mining sites, you can just do the mining sites and then buy those BPCs for pretty cheap. You know, we can go. The nice thing is that the emissions, you can go with any of them to build. Now, the amplifiers, I think, are going to be more valuable in the long run, but we can find in contracts and see that these things are. What the hell is going on? Okay, maybe not that one. Well, this one has a few of them. Here we go. Yeah, 5 million each for the emission band, the emission blueprints and stuff. So you can just buy the BPCs if you want to in order to download. Do you know how I can get into the group for the Amar Drifter Hole sites? I actually do not know. One thing you could do is just yeet into the wormhole and see if there's anybody there. But yeah, I don't know who's organizing the Amar effort. All right, so you can hold on. In fact, we can go like this. Oh, you have to search for a specific one. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Is this all high and low security space? Does Null have sites? Null has significantly fewer sites, period. But the trick I'm about to show you will work from anywhere and is faster than all of those other strategies. Okay? It does work from anywhere, but you do need the filaments ahead of time. Okay? So what we're going to do is I have my alt set up right now. The last task is this one. Find and visit the caged wormhole at an unknown anomaly in Azdaja readout. Okay, this is the first step. So this is what we call the tourism track. Okay, the tourism track goes to each of the wormholes in order, except for it skips the Caldari one, and then it resets to the beginning again, and you can just do it again. Now, they're worth twice as many points the first time as subsequent times. So the very first time you do all 4 tourism, then you're going to get 80 points. After that, you get 40 points per one. So with enough filaments, you can just do the entire site. You can do the entire track with just tourism. Okay, so that's going to be the strategy today. Let's go ahead and look at what this takes. We can go onto the market, and we can see the filaments are cheap. The finished filaments are very, very cheap. Even though the BPCs are not that cheap because people need them to build stuff, the filaments themselves are currently very cheap. So I'm going to buy 1 of each. Now, you could stockpile all of them that you need at one time. The one that we don't need is the Conflex Eerie. We do not need Conflex Eerie. So we're going to grab 1 into Azdaja, 1 Liberated Barbican, 1 Sanctified Redoubt, or Sanctified Vedette, rather, and 1 Sentinel MZ. Where'd that go? All right. That's it. Less than 4 million ISK total. Now, let's see. If I bring up my calculator and I go 1050 divided by, 40 points, right? So with 26 different, doing it 26 times, which actually, let's go ahead and just say times 4, actually. So 105 different yeets should give me enough points for the Praxis. Now, it's actually going to be lower than that because I'm going to get double points the first 4. And I'm also going to get some points for the Labyrinth and for the Nexus. So really, it's about 100 different filaments, right? So if you get 26 of each filament, which is, you know, currently less than 100 million ISK, then you will be able to complete the entire track up to the Praxis, including 100 PLEX. So just so we can make sure that we're 100% clear on what I'm saying here. What I'm saying here is, without much of an effort, and without anyone being able to stop you, without anything being able to stop you, without any inconvenience whatsoever, it does take some time, and it is a bit of a grind. Don't get me wrong, but like all point accumulation is a grind. But this is 100% reliable, okay? So let's go ahead and get started. I have my character in Jita. There's a few things I need to do first, okay? The first thing I need is a better ship. The second thing I need is a better clone. So I'm going to look at... Oh, yeah, this is cheesy as hell. So my problem is I have implants in. So the very first thing I'm going to do is actually undock and go to the Paragon Station. Because Paragon Stations have clone bays. So here's the thing about this plan. It's so much crazier than what I just said, right? I just said for 100 million ISK, you can get a 200 million ISK battleship and 600 million ISK worth of PLEX, right? That's wild by itself. However, remember, that implies that you're doing it by yourself. That implies that you're doing it by yourself. All of these filaments allow up to 15 people to do it. So for like 2 hours on Sunday, we had Thrans, the hero of the convocation, who was literally, we just had a bunch of new bros. Didn't matter if they were 1 day old, didn't matter if they were 10 years old, didn't matter. He had a Corvette. The rest of us had shuttles. All we did was jump in. He warped us to the site. We suicide. We start over. It took us 20 minutes to do a full round of 40 points. So there is no faster way to guarantee points in this game. The main person has to have a ship of some kind. So you can do it in a Corvette. You can do it in a shuttle, whatever you want. Although we're going to try it at least once with a frigate, and I'll show you why. But so now I'm in the Paragon Station. I'm going to right-click. No, I'm not. I'm going to go to Services, Clone Bay, Install Clone. If you don't have enough clones, make sure you can train. And even alpha clones can get this. Not that one. Infomorph Psychology. I think Infomorph Psychology can be trained at least a little bit by alpha clones. Each one of these Infomorph Psychology allows you a different jump clone. So you take one of your jump clones, you put it, or you basically your goal is to be in a blank clone. So I'm going to take that clone that I just made and jump into it. Remember, when you nowadays, if you're jumping to a pod, if you're jumping to another clone in the same structure or station as you're in, you don't trigger a timer. So there's no problem with that. So now we're going to head back to G244, where the implant, or where all of the other stuff is. Also, I need to make a safe somewhere in the system. So I'm going to do that while I warp. So I'm going to warp back to G244 Trade Hub. As soon as I can find it. There it is. I'm so silly. I'm going to warp to G2 Trade Hub, hit Control B. And while I'm in the middle of warp, just hit Submit. Now I have a bookmark in the middle of nowhere. So, the way this works is that once I jump in, there's going to be several anomalies in the system. One of those anomalies is going to be the correct one. So we do have to find the correct wormhole, or the correct anomaly. But once you do figure it out, you can bookmark it, so that way you can just warp to the bookmark from that point on. Now, what's even wilder, so you and up to 14 other people can do this at the same time. These can be your alts if you're multi-boxing. And here's the fucking wild part about all of this, okay? So first of all, we've already turned 100 million ISK into damn near 14 billion ISK if you, like, absolutely maximize it, right? But here's the wild thing. Not only can alphas get Praxis, but remember, you have 3 characters on every account that you have. So you could actually do this with a single alpha account could do this, and for 300 million ISK, or less if you're doing it with other people, you will get 300 PLEX and 3 Praxis, which is an incredible ship for alpha players because they require 0 skills to fly. So, okay, next, what we're going to do is so the problem is that when I die, I need to wake up in G244. So now that I have the correct clone, I need to make sure to set my home station. So if I go up here to the name, G2 Moon 4 Caldari Navy Assembly Plant, it may be, if it's hiding, then you might need to click it there. If it's hiding here, you might need to click it this to make it appear. But wherever it is, just right click on it and go set home station. So now if I die, I will just wake back up in Jita. Done. Almost done, or almost ready to go. So I've got my 4 filaments here. I board my Corvette. And we put an Azdaja readout filament in. Okay? Everybody with me so far? Questions, comments, concerns? No? Let's go. $600 Plex is 670 million, not 6.7 billion. Can you join? Are you in? We'll probably do some tourist stuff later. I just want to do this for demonstration. Obviously, I could bring people with me, but this is just for demonstration. I don't, like, it might take extra time. I don't know. So I'm going to warp to my safe. I'm going to right click on myself, pilot, form fleet with. So now I'm a fleet with myself and set my safeties to yellow. And I open up my inventory. And we activate the Azdaja filament. Now this takes a minute now. So we wait as this counts down. This is one of the 2 slowest parts of this entire process, by the way, guys. Right? This 1 minute wait is the slow part. Compare that with finding sites, compare that with scanning down sites, compare that with all of the other methods to get points. Here, the biggest annoyance is a 1 minute wait and a 2 minute wait. That's it. That's the 2 minute wait. Yes, if you can get somebody to pod you, it's going to be even faster. Finished the track yesterday? Awesome. You've got 2 more characters to do it on. This is why I'm saying, like, I don't want CCP to watch this stream because I don't want them to patch this. But, you know, there's so many people bitching about how hard this event site is, or these events are. I think that this might, like, this could really work for us. Okay, so now that I'm in the readout, you can see by opening up the probe window, there's all these different anomalies, which are fine, whatever. And then there's these 5 unknown anomalies. So we're just going to warp to each of them in turn. Well, they'll just, like, they could theoretically make it so the tourism thing doesn't work over and over and over again. But, I mean, it depends. We can go ahead and let Reddit continue to think this is hard to do. So as I warp in, I'm looking to see this thing get completed. If as I'm landing on the site, it doesn't get completed, then that's the wrong one. This is the wrong one. So I just immediately warp to the next one. Like I said, once you do it the first time, you learn which anomaly is the correct one on any given day. And then you can just go to it, or you can bookmark it. Well, the problem is that they move every day. And this is not it either. You do get to check out some cool landmarks. Can you do it in cloaky ships? You could theoretically do it in cloaky ships, but dying is definitely part of this whole process. I mean, you could... So the thing is that you could theoretically scan your way out, but then, like, now you're somewhere random, not where your filaments are. Hey, there we go. It got completed. Actually, I guess that is true. You could theoretically check to see where all of the pods and corpses are. I'm going to make a bookmark here. And now I'm going to warp to the labyrinth. So I can complete this task. That task gives me 20 points for getting to the caged wormhole. However, the very first time you do this, you can also warp to the labyrinth and the Nexus, because that completes those tasks. You don't actually have to go in them in order to complete them. You can get the first points by just warping to them. So this is just bonus points. It makes it a little bit easier. It's 40 points, so it's an entire rotation that you don't need to do. Oh, I should have gone to the Nexus first, but whatever. Oh no, I think Corvettes aren't allowed in the labyrinth. So, yep, there's the labyrinth task completed. Let me see whether or not the Corvette can get in. This is a new character, by the way. Casimir Garmonia. I need to look him up, see if he's ever been talked about anywhere. I don't think so. think this is going to tell me I can't go in. The reason why this is important is because I think that the drifters that are at the actual landmark do not pod. Yeah, I can't go in. This is an event wormhole that I'm in. Yes, I'm in the as Daja readout right now. So I'm going to just warp. Yeah, the trig guys have been working really hard. So now I'm going to go to the Nexus. Grab those 20 points. Bam. Done. And now we warp back to my landmark or my my bookmark. Now, one thing that is a bit annoying is when you use the filament, you get this capsuleer log-off timer. So in theory, hey, 07, thank you for that punch. Just a good reminder, if you are a new or returning player or making new accounts or whatever, you can use the buddy code. Link is down below. It will give you 1 million free skill points and will help support the stream. So I land here. Hey, look, Hakanta Tyrannos is here. And now I let them kill me. So now I've died. I've got my pod. I right-click the pod, self-destruct. So now we have to wait 2 minutes for the self-destruct to happen. Oh, wait, nope. Apparently, they're mad at me. That works even better. So now, if I did everything right, I should wake up in Jita without having lost any implants because I went with a blank clone. Yeah, it's even faster when those rats are there. And you look, the timer's gone. So I can board my Corvette. I can grab the next filament, which, if we look, it's the floating Stonehenge, which is the Sanctified Vedette. So I grab the Sanctified Vedette, grab it in there, undock. This is going to mess up your Z-kill board ranking. Okay, but like I could just lose a bunch of... Well, actually, they're all NPC kills, unless they're players. What about Azaja? Azaja's the first one. I just warp to my spot. Yeah, Z-kill doesn't count NPC losses, generally. But also, I mean, like, if you're just losing a bunch of pods, whatever. And we can see, like, I earned 70 points from just that one system. Like 3 minutes of time, 5 minutes of time, 70 points. And, activate the filament. Come on. Wait a minute. No implants, right? Yay, no implants. And hell, you could make brand new alphas and do this with it in order to get stuff if you want. If you just want to make a bunch of praxis and get a bunch of plex. And the nice thing is that there's so many of these filaments being made. There's such a high supply of these filaments. Would have been hard to have implant. No, I'm saying that I didn't have any implants in the pod that I lost because I swapped out of my one with implants. All right, and we're gonna jump on in. Let's try that technique of like seeing where all the pods are. Honestly, it's probably more of a hassle than it's worth. I'll just start randomly warping around. Yeah, let's try that. Yes, each drifter hole has its own weather effect. Bam, first try. And set a bookmark. Kobolos Tyrannos. Who's Kobolos Tyrannos? Oh, that's the frigate. That guy looks pretty cool. That's a new ship. Here they come. Smite me, O mighty smiter! Right click, self-destruct. I think, yeah, Trig's definitely got the best one, but also Trig's got the most points, so I think they just got first choice. You could theoretically bubble this location, but it wouldn't matter because you're still arriving at the location. So they can't stop you from arriving at the location. You can bubble in dead space. Is there any lore behind Mordu's Legion ships looking very similar to Drift ships? Mordu is very big on badass looking aesthetics. Kind of interesting that using Warden coordinates, we now have the first system targeted filaments in the game. Yeah. Yeah, that's, well, I mean, that's the whole point is that, like, the Deathless has been mapping all of the Drifters wormhole connections. And so that's what the Deathless has been doing for like the last month and a half is like tracking or like the subspace passages that the Drifters have been using. Okay, so once again, board my Corvette. I'm now at 90 points. And I need to go to the, not the Labyrinth, Violent Wormhole in the Sentinel MZ. So I grab the Sentinel one. Undock. Yeah. Oh, there's going to be a lot of dead bodies today. Activate the filament. Sit and wait. There's no 15-minute filament cooldown. When you die, that drops the 15-minute timer. So no, there is no, as long as you die in between each time, then there is no timer. See, we can see that the timer's there. It's 14 minutes and 10 seconds right now. No, that's as old as filaments. That's just how filaments work. Well, that's just how that would be. I mean, they could, but that's so much deeper of a process. That's just how flags work. They would have to make that true about non-capsular combat flags or like capsular log-off timers broadly, and like there's a reason why they let it happen. Okay, so D-scan. Do I see anything cool on D-scan range? No, that means it's probably not this one. So we can just start warping to the other ones. Yeah. It just uses the normal PvP log-off timer. That's true. Which does mean that if anybody shoots you, like gets a shot off, that restarts your timer. Like if you're out in high sec or like null sec or something like that, if somebody manages to actually get a shot off on you, that'll reset your 15-minute timer. That's for like yeet filaments and stuff. Hey, first try. Oops. Submit. Smite me! Oh no, it's just Autothisians and Apollo and Artemis, so I don't think that they're actually going to pod me now. So I actually have to right-click self-destruct. Pretty sure they won't pod me. We'll see. Does Hakanta? Can I warp to the hive? Let's give it a shot. We'll just restart the timer there if it doesn't work. There it is. I was like, there's a big model missing. Come on. Pod me. Any of you guys going to do it? I don't know if these guys do it. Doesn't look like it. All right, whatever. Right-click, self-destruct. We'll do it the slow way. In the meantime, you can check out the hive. There's lots of really awesome sightseeing to do while you do the tourism challenges. So we can see that like my capsular log-off timer's at 12 minutes left. Try bumping a drifter with your pod. I don't think that'll work. And the problem is that now that I've started my self-destruct, I can't actually do anything, because if I do that, then it'll cancel the self-destruct. Anybody else, like, I don't forget that I'm self-destructing, but so often when I do self-destruct, it always catches me by surprise when it happens. Like the other day when we were doing the tourism thing, like I self-destructed, I thought that, I was like, oh, they finally shot me. Oh, wait, no, never mind. We've only got one more after this? Yeah, rock circle in Liberated Barbican. And remember, you have until the 6th, I think, in order to do this task. So you don't need to, like, grind it for, like, 3-4 hours at one time or something like that. You could easily just, you know, do a lap a day or, like, 2-3 laps a day and be fine. We're almost there. Look, the timer goes away. You saw that the timer disappears as soon as I get as soon as I die. All right, one more time. So you could probably finish this in about 6 or 7 hours. If it takes like 20 minutes for an entire pass and you got to do the entire pass about 24 to 26 times, you could probably get it done in about 5 to 6 hours total of just doing this. Now, obviously, you can augment this with any amount of legitimate point gaining you want to do, like mining the Tyranite and doing the combat sites, etc. But this is just your no excuse, no bullshit, up to 15 people at a time completing the track. What are the influences in most of the drifter holes? You can actually check the influence at any given time by just opening up opportunities, going to interstellar events, and you can see all of their percentages. So now this doesn't get updated until somebody starts running it, so the percentages are likely lower than they appear. But this says that Asdaj is at 22%, Conflux is at 2%, Barbican is at 5%, Vedette is at 11%, and the MZ Sentinel is 11%. We're all gonna die. Yeah. Well, right now the decay is like 2% an hour, and you only get 3% for completing the site. Yes, I have broken the site open. I've broken the event open for you in less than an hour. That's true. This event is too hard. This is the easiest fucking event for alpha clones ever. Like I said, you could still do all of those other methods. You can still do combat sites if you want to. Totally valid. And these combat sites are probably more alpha friendly than almost any other event sites. But like this is your no excuse. Worst case scenario, you spend 120 million ISK and you get like a billion ISK worth of shit. It's unbelievable that people are complaining about this. Here's a secret though, guys. Let them complain. As I've said multiple times, there are two types of players in this game. There are those loudly complaining about things and those quietly profiting from them. Be that second person. Boom. Jumping in. Open up probe window. Let's see. Now, no bullshit on D-scan, so it's probably one of these other ones. Let's just go to the first one. It's really unbelievable. Is it really unbelievable? I mean, eh. Slightly disappointed in humanity, but this is fine. Oh. Rock circle visited. That's what I'm looking for. So you get these points just by showing up regardless of whether you enter it or not? There's no entering it. Yeah, you just warp to them. Well, the Pro Trigs group is, I know that. I can claim my reward. And look, now my new task is find and visit the caged wormhole in an unknown anomaly and Azdaja readout. So it just goes back to the beginning. So you never do the Caldari one. You only do these 4, and it just goes around in circles. It's the same order every single time. These guys are going to pod me. Boom. With seconds to go, in less than an hour, I have shown you guys how to complete this event easily with no fuss, that is profitable, alpha friendly, and can be done with up to 15 people at a single time. So aren't they going to nerf it now that you're showing this? I was afraid of that, which is why I was concerned about showing it off. But it's also Tuesday. Make sure to get your free SP. That's a good point. So get in on this before CCP can nerf it. You have at least until tomorrow, most likely, to be able to complete this. But chances are, I think it would be pretty hard for them to fix it. You don't actually... So the nice thing is I didn't even remember the order of the filaments. I literally just looked them up every single time. Like, I was just looking to see what... Because it says in Azdaja readout, it says which wormhole to do next over and over again. Does anybody remember the order off the top of their head? But yeah, that's it. I mean, this is... So why not do the Caldari one? I have no idea why they skipped the Caldari wormhole. Filament's price just spiked. Is that true? No way. So I was worried about this because, like, whatever, but oh my god. Oh my god! Well, okay. I knew I should have bought a bunch before I said anything. Yeah, Azdaja, Verdette, Sentinel, Barbican. Even the Conflicts Irie's up. Well, put up buy orders. You need a grand total of, I think, 24 of each of them in order to complete the track all the way up to the Praxis. But there you go, guys. There's a little bit of a hint. You can always build these filaments. There's other ways to do it. People are going to be building them. But there you go. Tourism. The best way to finish the track in a zero excuse kind of method. You guys that watched live got the best opportunity. Everybody else who watches my stream, this is why you watch my streams. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more information and more of my content. I have years of content to go back and check out, including guides, lore, etc., everything involving this event and everything else. So make sure to, subscribe to the channel so that way you can see when things go up. I need to head out soon, so that way I can do some editing and whatnot. I probably will be going live tomorrow. I don't actually know when the next time I'm going to go live is, either tomorrow or Thursday. Hit me up on Discord if you want to join us, or if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or ideas for the stream. You can also flag yourself so that way you get pings anytime I go live on the Discord. And of course, get 1 million free skill points. It's probably me, about 60 of each type for all your accounts. It was like 20 minutes ago. Well, yeah, just give him a little bit of time to let more get on the market. It'll be fine. All right. Well, all that said, I've been Asherothi. I've been playing this game since 2010, talking about it since 2012, and I'm here to put even to context for you, my fellow Imperians. Sorry this episode's a little bit short, but I wanted to make sure to bring this to you guys in as concise of a way as possible, so that way people don't have an excuse of being like, oh my god, the stream's 3 hours long, I can't watch that. So there you go. Get out there, get your points, get your praxis, get your plex, and better yet, team up with each other, make little groups, so that way you can share the cost and the effort. I'm telling you, it's so much easier. Just get someone like Thrans to, like, literally when he says undock, I undock. And when I blow up, I hit right click and hit self-destruct. And that was it. That was the extent of my interaction with the game while he was doing that. I was able to clean my house and all that stuff. It was great. So with all that said, I've been Ashrothi. Thank you guys so much for checking out the video in the stream. And oh yeah, and you have to click to claim. That's right. Yeah. And thanks for everybody who supports the stream. Consider becoming a member or a patron. And yeah, I've been Ashrothi, the voice of New Eden. And until next time, I'm probably going to be playing Oblivion. See you in space.
Bring on the wrecking machine. For every city